4:03. We have a jam-packed 45 minutes ahead of us. I'm sure people will be rolling on as we continue, but if you still haven't, name where you're from and first memory of the ocean. But we'll go ahead and get it started. My name is Bailey Ritter. If my face does not look familiar to you, I hope we'll become really fast friends. I'm the youth advisor for the Ocean Project, and at the very end, I'll share how to get involved with the Rising Blue Network and show you where to subscribe for the brand new newsletter for even more ways to get involved with the Global Youth Movement and World Ocean Day. I'm from Pontiac, Illinois, which is a teeny tiny baby town in central Illinois in the United States. And my first memory of the ocean is going to the beach, obviously in Florida. And I know I've been talking about salt, but truly my first memory was like being like, this is not, what is this?
This is not fresh water.
No, like this, what planet is this from? Like this body of water is not like I grew up in like murky, like you best believe you were not seeing your like waist in the water, like types of lakes. So going to the ocean, I'm like, this is a foreign space. Like this is unreal. So that would be my first memory of the ocean. And I will, before I introduce Kate, I want to hear Kate's first memory of the ocean.
Okay, wait, I'm Kate Sutter.
Yeah.
And I'm from Berkeley, California.
Yeah.
So over on the coast, my first memory, my parents, they're ocean people. They're both divers too. They took us to Tahiti when I was 2. I know. Unbelievable. But I have a vivid memory of like, it was one of those huts where you look down, like, and there's a ladder into the ocean and you could just see, and it was like clean. It was like a fish tank, but below me. So it was, it was very, very vague memory, but I have enough where it was like, that is so cool.
That's so cool. What a first experience. That's so epic. I hope you have like the coolest photos of like you.
Oh yeah.
As
me
like
naked running around everywhere.
Yeah, true ocean baby.
Yeah. That was me.
Anyways, Kate just introduced herself, but I'm absolutely thrilled to introduce Kate further, who's my guest for this month's Rise Up webinar. Kate is the Community Engagement Manager for the Ocean Project and the person behind the dynamic content on World Ocean Day. Also my coworker, my killer, awesome coworker. But this month is about encouraging action for our ocean on social media, which is no easy feat. I'm sure many of you have experienced that and faced that. And as we move away from rallying months like World Ocean Month and Plastic Free July, it's even more critical that we continue to push the needle forward on important ocean issues as we enter the last half of the year.
Wild.
Whoa.
Don't love that.
And what better person to have this chat with, all things social media for our ocean, than Kate. Alongside doing social media for the Ocean Project, Kate is the Associate Program Officer for Lab X at the National Academy of Sciences. She's previously worked at the American Museum of Natural History in exhibitions, communications, and conservation. Her experience there sparked a new inspiration to create new ways to engage the public in science. Before joining LabX, she was at the Ocean Agency, where she managed projects alongside the team who produced Google Underwater Street View and the Netflix documentary Chasing Coral. She's a member of the Explorers Club and won the Adventure Canada Young Explorer Scholarship, which allowed her to study citizen science in, wait for it, the Arctic. Whoa. And my most favorite fact about Kate is she's an avid scuba dive instructor who has also been featured on Disney as a shipwreck expert. That is the most epic 2 truths and a lie.
I know.
Statement I've ever heard.
You wouldn't believe it. But it's the big fib. It's like episode 18.
I love that. Check that out. Anyways, Kate, is there anything about your background I left out? And please tell the folks at home what you are doing now.
Sure. No, you pretty much got it. I was a big museum person. I actually, way back, my first job, I was one of the first interns at Tumblr. So that's social media. And
what then another cool fact.
Yes. And then I went over to College Humor. which I think is still going strong. So I did have a bit of a social media dip, and then I kind of mixed my interests and went to social media in the ocean world. So yeah, that's, I love getting the public into science, especially ocean world. But right now at LabX, it's great. It's a program off of the Academy of Sciences, so we are under their umbrella, but we get to basically experiment, and like we're a test bed. What do people want? How do we get people to think about science? And of course, I brought the ocean in and did a comedy science show with a shark expert, because we need the ocean. So it's been a great job. And then I love being the person behind World Ocean Day on social, because I think that's where I get to interact with our followers and our supporters and just ocean lovers in general. So, I'm clearly very passionate about the ocean, and I am lucky enough to get to work online and with tons of people from around the world.
Yeah. I think the lead sentence of your bio is Kate is a big fan of the ocean.
Big fan.
Big fan. Big fan. Why the ocean? I know you started off the conversation talking about your parents, but why ocean, and why has that kind of stuck with you?
I'm still going to give it back to my parents. Basically, when I was 10, they said, listen, they're big divers. They're like, you can either come with us on trips if you get certified, or you can stay home and not get certified. And we're like, okay, we're getting certified. And then once you're in, you see what's underneath the waves, and you're like, all right, that's that. And once you see it, you can't go back. It's
and
I'm sure make a job out of it.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not one of those experiences where you're like, pretty boring.
Next, thank you. It's not like finance or anything like that. It's like, wow, whale sharks. Okay.
Yeah, it's a constant new experience every time you go under, I'm sure. I mean, nothing will ever be
the same.
Yeah.
You see things that you've never seen before, and I've been to hundreds of dives, and I've seen new fish that I just didn't know existed, and it's all very exciting.
Do you believe, or do you equate your sort of affinity for diving for also your affinity to protect and actually educate and teach and kind of move the needle forward? Yeah,
absolutely. Okay, it's one of the things once you see it, you can't unsee it, and which is a great thing. So actually, at my previous job at the Ocean Agency, we used Google Underwater Street View and brought it to classrooms, especially classrooms inland, with kids who've never seen the ocean. And then once they put on VR goggles, or they look at with their teachers, they're like, what is that? And they get so excited about the ocean, which is really what spurs excitement and future conservation efforts. So it starts with the youth. And I'm sure we all know that.
Yeah, definitely. So now into more of the questions that I just want to pick your brain about. When I was writing these, I'm like, I just honestly am so excited and so hyped to hear your answer to some of these, but you're obviously both a personal user of social media, as well as someone who manages for organizations with a clear conservation priority and thousands of followers. How do you think social media has changed the way environmental organizations, activists, conservationists kind of do business?
That's a really good question. And I think it all comes down to the communities that we can create. So with social media, all of a sudden we have access to, not the whole world, because not everyone has social media, but a lot of the world. And that's becoming more and more important. So these campaigns that are taking part, take Greta Thunberg, for example. She started this huge movement, which could not have been done without social media. Her Future for Friday. That started because of her, and it wouldn't have gotten the publicity it did without social media. So it's these communities far and wide. It's also interesting because organizations can basically, they used to before social media, before social media and all that, they had a target to these people who were already very big advocates and gung-ho, and they subscribe to, let's say, a mail letter campaign, and they get little postcards in the mail and all that. Now businesses and activists can reach people who are not totally they're not absolutely 100% sold. They can be like, oh, I like the ocean, that sounds cool, and then they follow us. or they follow an activist because they see a cool photo, and then we can activists now can talk to those people. So it's a huge range of interests that we can now engage versus just the top, couple percent. So that's really been key. And also just international is important. It's so easy for activists to focus in on, let's say, their country, never mind just maybe their state or their region. But social media now allows us, like, we can reach, I think someone just said Nigeria, they're from Nigeria, and it's like we can all work together, and we can be activists together no matter who you are. So it's a great time for social media to be in play here, because we need that change and we need international change.
Yeah, I completely agree. Something that I've also seen affect my job, working with young people, that social media has had, is directly responsible for, is previously young people had to rely on their parents telling them about these issues. And where I come from, not a lot of that. Luckily, I had 2 teachers as parents. One is a science teacher, and we were talking about climate change, and we were talking about these things. And I would be like, hey friends, have you heard about this thing called climate change? And they're like, what are you talking about? Yeah. And now you see this generation of young people who don't have to rely on gatekeepers to pass along the information. They can just stumble across a World Ocean Day while meaninglessly scrolling and go, oh, okay, I want to know more. Yeah, exactly. Right. And I think that has put so much more power in upcoming generations, that we don't have to rely on like 2 people telling us about something, and then and please do go to the library and things like that, but like you didn't have to go to the library to then go search through these books. It's like boom, like if you it just eliminated so many barriers, in my opinion, to just accessing knowledge about what's happening to our planet.
Yes, that is so important. And if you're not around people who talk about it, you'll never get it. You'll never understand it because you don't know. Social media, I've learned things on social media, and like TikTok, oh my gosh, these tips and tricks on like cleaning. I didn't know we could how to clean things. So it's an example of like, even anyone with the most amount of knowledge can still learn things on social media, because no one knows everything. So that's a great point. It's just, you can do your research now. Yeah. Just awesome.
Fact check people, but also it's a great starting place.
Yes. It's so, that's a disclaimer for sure. And I always say that, make sure it's real. There's a lot of fake.
I don't believe tons. Yeah. It's a great starting place to go down a rabbit hole.
Yes.
Kind of going off of that, do you think, I especially see it with young people, do you think that you can be an effective conservation organization, activist, you name it, for our planet, and not have social media these days?
Totally. Absolutely. Let me be clear. Social media is not life. It is not. It is its own little sphere, and it's a sphere of change, but there is so much more to life than social media. So I encourage people who don't have social media, like, that's great. I am not going to try to change your mind. There's other ways to get involved. So let's say gathering your community. Honestly, even as small as starting with talking with your family, saying, hey, I heard about recycling. Would you want to talk about that? I think it could be easy to implement in our household, or aunts and uncles. That's a really powerful way to start. And then if you're still really excited about it, which, anything, even going strawless, that's like a really fun thing you can encourage your friends to do. When you're going out to Starbucks, you're like, we'll skip the straw. So little things like that. And then you can even do bigger things of joining, getting the community together to do film screenings. There's some great ocean documentaries, just kind of actually great ones. Fin, that just came out, it's about shark finning, and it teaches you so much. And it's also a great way to get friends together, like, hey, let's get some popcorn, let's learn about something. And you don't need social media to do that. There's tons of ways to get involved, even beach cleans, creek cleans if you're not near a beach. And it all ends up in the ocean. So if you're in the middle of God knows where, I don't know, you can still help. And and if you're not on social media, that's honestly good on you, but you can still do something to help the ocean in any which way.
Yeah, I love that. I completely agree. I think it's a tool, but it's not your tool belt. Like it's not everything that you possess. It's, especially with World Ocean Day, it's a way to reach. I had no idea before I was introduced to Bill Mott, who's the executive director of the Ocean Project. There was a day for the ocean.
Yep.
At all. That was definitely not something we talked about ever as a kid, in my classes or Earth Day is like the Mecca, right? And then I had no idea. And so having World Ocean Day on social media, it allows people to, like you said, Kate, like that audience to grow and to share. But if you're already doing that in your hometown and you're like reaching all of these people in your community or county, like, you don't need it. Like you're doing.
And also those people probably don't have social media anyway. So they're the people you'd never get to. So your neighbors, like my neighbor does not have social media, but when I'm over there, when we're both mowing our lawns, I can talk to them about it. And it's just as powerful.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. It is a tool, not your whole tool belt. Exactly. In general, how have you seen the types of content in regards to the environment and level of responsibility that social media has changed since? I was trying to think actually today when I got social media, and I think I was in 8th grade.
Yep. I was younger than that. I was
gonna say my parents were also like very afraid of what the power of social media is, so they were like, wait till you're an adulty 8th grader. But how have you seen it transition from, however old you were to now?
Yeah, actually that reminds me. I remember when Facebook was, you had to have a EDU email to get a Facebook because it was just college students. Yeah. Because I started at Harvard and you had to be a college student. So I couldn't get on because I didn't have an EDU email. Anyway, that brings me way back. Lots of changes now, and you can honestly see probably from your own feed if you go back, and we used to post photos of like your dinner with a really edgy filter, and now there's the biggest change is there's call to actions. There's things you can do. You don't care about my dinner, but if I wanted to, I could now like make a petition to get my mom to cook less green beans. If I was that age, that's something you could do now. There's GoFundMe's, there's groups, there's clubs you can join. So it's not just a mere, look at it, love it, scroll. It's look at it, love it. Oh, let me dive deeper. Let's go to this link. Oh, I can do this to help it. So the changes here are more actionable, which is exactly what we need to do. Just take an example is the Instagram story page. You can now add donate buttons and donate stickers, and you can add swipe up if you have over 10,000 followers to a link. So they're making it more and more easily accessible for people to actually do something rather than just to get and see content and carry on with their life.
Yeah, I actually looked through this past week in preparation for this conversation through my archived photos.
Oh, it can be very embarrassing.
And it's another world. Yeah. Like, granted, 8th grader versus like a 24-year-old, so different way of life and thinking in general. But like looking at other people's and like scrolling to their first post, it was equally as like, no matter how old they were when they started, it was equally as like, here is this thing. Like
watching a movie with my mom.
Yeah. There was zero purpose at all. Yeah, and I think today there's sort of a yearning, maybe a little bit, to get back to that notion of like, who cares? Like this, me and my mom, we're chilling. Like, yeah. Because everything seems so serious, but at the same time, it's like the things I learn on a daily basis, even from UK on, the World Ocean Day social media, like it's like, I just learned the plural of like fish. Like I've told everyone that
Yeah, that was a big post that really blew up.
Yes, look at that on World Ocean Day on Instagram, and I'm sure on Facebook as well. Talking about the plural of like the plurality of fish. Yeah, of the word itself. Like I learned so much, and I wouldn't trade that for the world.
Yeah.
But I also think the responsibility then that social media curators and creators like yourself and others, the responsibility that you all have has been taken to a whole new level because there's this extra eye of, I mean, someone like me going, I'm going there to learn and I'm going to tell people what I just saw on that. And so if it's misinformation or fake news, I'm not saying anything on World Ocean Day is fake news, but in general, there's a heightened responsibility. Do you feel that responsibility? Or are you like, whatever, not whatever, but you know?
Yeah, you absolutely do feel it. I mean, we have 44,000 followers on Instagram, which is great, but that's an opportunity. And that's an opportunity to really get a lot of impressions, which is like eyeballs on it, really. And that's worth a lot. So there is a responsibility of making sure you're doing the right thing. I do want to put a little asterisk here. It's really all about content buckets and categories. And maybe you're going to touch on this, but no one's going to want to follow a feed that's just petitions and facts and petitions and actionable items. So yes, I have a responsibility to do that, but I also want to grow our platform. So it's a fine line. That's really hard to get. And I don't even have the answer. I am not I don't have the absolute perfect formula, but I'm getting closer, and that's something that's really important. So you can't, I have responsibility. At the same time, I don't want to be that preacher, the boring preacher that no one wants to follow.
Yeah, no, that actually leads into my next question. Without sharing your secret Kate Sutter sauce, what do you think is the key to producing either a post or even just like a series of, on your feed, producing content that garners likes and that engagement and grows your platform while also encouraging either education or even action?
Yeah, that's I'm totally happy to talk about it too. I want to share, and I call it fluff content, but really it's just content that makes you happy. It's the content that you actually my ultimate goal here is my girlfriend will send me really great ocean content because she knows I'm always looking. And sometimes she'll send me back World Ocean Day content.
Oh my gosh.
And she's done it, I don't know, like 5 times now. And I'm like, I said, Taylor, I posted that. And she's like, oh, so I know it's good enough if she feels like it's share worthy. But back to that, it's so cool. I want people to share it with their friends like that. So a lot of the content right now is going to be beautiful photos, videos, actually, that's a whole nother conversation, that actually just wow you or make you stop on your feed. And then once you get that brand reputation of someone's like, oh, whenever you see World Ocean Day, they're excited, they'll stop at it just out of routine because it's going to be great content. And that's when you start interweaving and punctuating your content with actionable items. So I will highlight a lot of youth organizations because they might not have the most extraordinary photos because it's hard to highlight an organization through a photo, but I've already had that follower stop and pause and be like, what? That's so like that. Wow, that's amazing. And then they'll go to their website. And I don't want to overload them again with just cool organizations. There's millions of cool organizations out there. So really, I don't know, I'm going to say 2 to 4 times a week. I do post twice a day, but 2 to 4 times a week, I'll put in some petition to sign, petitions is the big one, and small fun facts you can do with like plastic recycling or films to watch. And I highlight organizations, especially those catered towards, underrepresented communities. So, I mean, I told you numbers there, but that's kind of my ratio. And once you get to a set goal audience that you're like, I'm happy with this, you can put more actionable items in if they're actually going to do it. But you do want to make sure you have quality content so people know you're always posting quality content.
Yeah, I love that. I think setting an expectation that there's going to be a level of, no matter what type of content it is, that there's just a level of
wow.
Yeah, that you'll get every time, no matter if it's just like this really stunningly captured underwater photo or somebody doing a World Ocean Day event. I think that's such a good tip. I don't know about you, but I can almost tell, even if I'm not engaging with like a page every day, I can tell when like some piece of content is a little less than the standard they for themselves, no matter how much I've looked at them, no matter how many times they come across my feed, I can be like, oh,
it takes one low resolution photo to do that.
Yeah.
But it takes many months for you to really get that brand reputation and just consistency, but it does not take much to ruin it. So that's a great point.
Yeah. How much does your formula change given like the type of week or type of month that just followers are having, or what's happening around the world? Does it change? I guess that's the first question. Does your sort of like formula change and you're sensing it out, or are you like, this is the World Ocean Day content, boom, like this is what it's always been, this is how it's going to be?
I'm constantly looking at analytics on the analytics side. It's just, what are people liking? Like sometimes there's a trend on TikTok and that trend, seeps over to Instagram, and I want to make sure we know what it is. It's also important, some people are on social media more during their winter, which is important. I mean, World Ocean Day is international, so it's a constant. People are on social media all the time, even when I'm sleeping, because of our Australian, Southern counterparts. It's a constant thing, but more so is the trends. Is I'm watching right now, I can tell you videos. I mean, I don't even have to tell you. You can just look. Videos are hot.
Yeah.
And that's definitely thanks to TikTok. People want short, digestible things. And another weird one that keeps doing really well is infographics. And it's not weird, but they've been really doing well for us.
Yeah.
I don't do, I maybe once a week, but if it's a beautiful infographic, it will be shared and shared and shared, which, lets it take off. But short answer to your question is yes, always watching, always looking. No week is ever the same.
Yeah.
It's all about kind of predicting research. Oh, but today is International Whale Shark Day. Have we prepared stuff? What should we cater a post towards that? Yeah. So it's kind of a game and it's a puzzle and there's no right answer.
Yeah. Speaking of sharing, how do you rank the following? Follower count, number of likes that you get on a post per week or whatever, number of shares, number of comments, and number of saves. How do you rank that in terms of, we're going back to our boss, Bill Mott, and saying, World Ocean Day has done great because... So, and I can say those again too if you...
No, I think
you're such a social media savvy person, you know what they are.
Yeah, so it actually just depends on the platform. Which is interesting, and they're always changing. So I do try to keep up with newsletters, and there's a lot of social media gurus who follow. But for Instagram, it saves is number one now. So that little tick bookmark thing is, if someone saves it, that's really great for your algorithm, and it shows you that you're posting quality content. After saves is shares, which is similar. Like you've shared it to a friend, you think it's quality enough where you want to pass it along. After shares is comments, and that's showing people are engaging with your work. And then likes, and an easy way to remember that is how long does it take the person to do that, with an exception of saves. Saves is that's your bank, so you want to go back to it at some point. But the rest are likes. Don't take any time at all. Anyone can do it anywhere. Bots can do it. Comments, bots are less often. They can happen. It does take a moment or two. And then shares, you're sharing with other people, usually with comment, and that takes more time. So that's an interesting range. And then like with Twitter, retweets are really important. Mentions are really important. Likes, not as important. And comments, again, use that engagement. How long does it take the user or the viewer to do this? And that usually corresponds with how important it is.
That's such a good tool.
Yes, and there's one more is TikTok. The feature of duets is really powerful.
Oh.
And you know, the World Ocean Day hasn't dove into
no
TikTok.
Pun intended.
They're both correct. We haven't gotten into that, but I have been speaking with strategists and people who know the platform, and duets are important because they're actually like, you know, reaction videos, comment videos. That's like next level comments. So it is changing, but I think that's pretty much my tiers.
Yeah, I love that. I'm going to put that in my pocket, but not that I'm like super social media savvy by any means, but that's kind of the level of just in general, how these platforms rank them, which is more important than how we feel about them, you know, ultimately. You just spoke a little bit about, you know, saving. Who are you saving? Who are some of your favorite social media accounts that, you know, are sort of like in that ocean environmental space, that you're saving the most, that you're just loving?
Yeah. Great question. So for like, if you want quality content time and time again, Patty, as in the scuba, the scuba outfit, Patty TV, just, I always say they have the content that is kind of the quality I want to reach. But then there's like, if I want to know things like what's going on in the ocean, Only One has a really great platform. They give you once a week, it's called Deep Dives, and it gives you just a little more insight than you would see usually on some ocean issue or a petition. Good News, no, it's not Good News Movement, they're great, but Water Bear Network, they have positive news posts, and it's like a slider of like 10 of the best, most positive climate or environment news of the week. And then there's obviously photographers that I love. I actually bought a print from my favorite Gabby Bartholomew in Mayette, but he's incredible. I bought his print because I realized I saved all of his images. I have a million photographers that I love, but those are probably my tops. And then of course, you know, youth organizations. It's all about the youth at the end of the day. They're gonna be our saving grace. And there's tons of youth organizations that you can look at on the map. Actually, at the Ocean Project website, there's a map of youth organizations that are doing just incredible work. So that's a short answer.
I love that. I think the ocean space is so interesting. It's one of the few where you could be like like a National Geographic, like professional diver, or you could just be a hobbyist and achieve the same sort of like really epic images, you know, and be able to go a lot of the times to the same places as each other. I mean, I can count on one hand how many times I've had an opportunity to go to like Africa, right? Like where you can, like, that's another world. And then I feel like the ocean, especially when it comes to being in it and creating content for it, it's such a universal space that's like truly super welcoming and available to everybody, which is super neat, which means that like these youth organizations that, you know, they aren't professional photographers are also capturing really great, iconic content that spurs action and spurs you to take another minute to think about something. So that's what I love about the ocean space.
Yeah. There's everything. There's something for everything. Yeah. And everyone.
Yeah. What has been a social media win for you? Like recent, and it could be both with your work with the Ocean Project and World Ocean Day or previously, but when did you just feel like, like that was rocket. Like I just kicked that thing's back.
I have a lot of those moments with this platform and kind of the audience we have. I love we just got we get updates about how many people have signed the 30 by 30 petition.
Oh, yeah.
Which is really exciting. 30 by 30, for those who don't know, is there's a whole bunch of different governments getting together, and everyone's encouraging them to protect 30% of land and ocean by 2030. So it's a pretty catchy tagline. Anyway, we have been pushing 30 by 30 in the petition, which is in our link in bio and all of that. And when the numbers come back, it's really inspiring. We have over 1,000 organizations. That's not individuals, it's organizations who signed on, who say we support this. And that just shows like, okay, we're getting through to people. Organizations are noticing and they do want change. So,
yeah,
that's just a great part of the job, is seeing actionable change that's happening. I'm not just posting photos of dolphins. I do, but there's more to it. And I mean, you mentioned it, even I put out an infographic that helps you with the plurality of fish. And I think that's a win in my book, because it's just more people learning. So, and that was shared everywhere.
Yeah.
And it just makes me smile. So there's a lot of those instances of this job.
Yeah. What is the most underused feature, in your opinion, across any, you can call out one specific platform or any of them, but what is the most underused that is like so killer and can really take your social media game to the next level that people are just not using?
That's a fascinating question. What I can say, something that is incredible that I have not gotten into yet, which is a little, Reels. I think Reels and Instagram TV. At first, I was like, it's another one.
Yeah.
But I watch them. I watch them all the time, and it's honestly a TikTok equivalent. But I think it's incredibly underused. And a tip is, if you use Reels and share it, the reel will start. The viewer doesn't have to click in; they can just watch it. I don't do that yet. Sorry, Bill. It's a lot of work, but it's an incredible feature. I also do want to kind of plug in Instagram stories, and not just Instagram stories, but Instagram stories has now stickers, so you can donate to like Black Lives Matter. You can choose an organization to donate to. Obviously you can donate to World Ocean Day, but that's just a cool feature where it's really easy for anyone to use. It's just a button. There's no hard different tabs. It's just like click. So I've done that, and I've supported some great businesses that way, and it's underutilized.
I will say we have 5 minutes left. So if you are watching, where does this go? If you're watching and you do have a question for Kate, you have already seen a mega mind when it comes to this kind of stuff in the ocean space in general. So if you do have a question, please put that in the chat. This is also just because I'm curious. Do you think, so I've been thinking a lot about Instagram Live, and I see organizations using it. Fresh opinion. I don't know. I'm like so meh about them. I don't watch them. But I also don't manage a huge following like World Ocean Day. So I didn't know if you had a thought on that.
I have thoughts on everything. Instagram Live has potential, and this is all dependent on whether you have a personality that will work with it. I've seen organizations and companies go live on Instagram, and the person's like a little quiet, shy.
Yeah.
And you like want to be like, oh my gosh, they're having a really great interview, but the person there isn't making that happen, which just ends up being cringy on the other side. Yeah. So if you do Instagram Live, which I think, again, has a potential, and it can work. Whenever Lizzo has Instagram Lives, I watch because they're hilarious. It's hard to get that reputation as Lizzo and as being funny. I don't have the time to do it. It's a lot of work to prep. We did an Instagram Live with Giving Tuesday in June, which was great. And it's a good conversation because we had Emma who's working for us, and Emma's really dynamic and energetic. So it depends. I'm not going to say go for it just because you have a phone and Instagram.
Yeah.
Because that's a really quick way to damage your reputation. But if you are a personable person and you already do TikToks, then why not? Like, spread the love.
Yeah. That's a good answer. Also, like, have someone there with you. Like, if you're ultra famous, you can just get away with talking to yourself and like reading the comments.
You can be like, and like be sitting there because you're
Star
Lizzo.
Girl 2048 says.
Yeah,
like, No. Like you have to, have a purpose. Don't just like start live.
The worst is when I scroll and I just see people like this.
Yeah, who are like,
and I'm like, oh, and then I'm embarrassed because they saw that I tuned in or I joined.
Yeah, right. And then you see your name and you're like, oh no, I hope they didn't notice me.
It's like an old high school friend who definitely forgot I existed. That happens to me
all the time. And I'm like, oops, I just was like opening my phone up. I didn't mean to click that notification.
Yeah, exactly. So be cautious.
Yeah, be cautious with your IG lives. Those are there.
They're there.
They're for a while. What are some, to kind of wrap up our conversation, what are some easy things that people can share, either if you are an organization here watching, both now live or in the future on YouTube, an organization or a person, what are some really easy things that people could share on social media today to move the needle forward for our ocean?
Yeah. Again, I'm going to push the 30 by 30 here. That's our big conservation action focus. So if you want to do something immediate and sign a petition that shows that you as an individual are behind this and you support this and you think that, your politicians should move forward, go sign that petition and share that petition. It's becoming a bigger and bigger movement. And I think it really says something. And that's, again, something you can do today, tonight, this morning, whatever it is for you. It takes, a couple of seconds. And then, on a larger scale, you can always highlight what you're doing to take action. So even if it's like, if you're at the grocery store, your pocket matters, where you put your money matters. So show that you didn't buy that one brand of plastic bags because you know where they end up, and that's something you can do too. And it maybe sounds stupid, but the little things do matter, and make a difference. And there are people who look up to you. So if you chose that good brand, they're going to choose that good brand, and it moves forward. And also, lastly, I always say this, is encourage people to vote. I don't care if it's today. I don't care where you are. Your voice matters. I honestly don't care what party you are. You have a voice, use it no matter what. And so sometimes in the middle of January, I'll post, make sure you vote. And everyone's like, what am I missing? I'm like, no, I'm just reminding you to vote later on this year.
I love that. I think that is the biggest takeaway that I've gotten from social media is that no matter how many followers you have, people are watching you, like they are. And that feels kind of overwhelming, but it doesn't have to. It's just, like Kate said earlier, it's an opportunity to just show what you're doing. Like, I think there's a hesitancy with people to be like, oh, they get it. They see this content. They probably don't. Especially if they're followers from high school or wherever. Like, if they're not in our ocean community yet, they want to know. You might be the difference. And so your pocket power with,
oh goodness,
my God, literally dropped me. Your pocket power with social media is like insane. Your consumer power with what you buy and what you're tuning into, but your pocket power with what you're posting and what you're talking about is next level. Like, it's unreal. And so just know you have,
and you can bring it back to 2007 and post watching a doc with mom, and it's going to be chasing coral and to teach you about coral. So however you do it, you can spin it in a way where people are watching and they care.
Yeah. Also, not everything has to be so serious. So like, have fun. Like, the ocean space is a ton of fun. Yes, there's crazy things happening around the world, but like, it's also a lot of fun. Like, going out,
and you can see some crazy cool things out there on social media. So enjoy it. And if you're not on social media, rock on.
Yeah, have fun.
Yeah.
Well, before we go, always, speaking of taking action, if you are new to the Rise Up webinar, we use QR code. So if you don't know how to use that, just take your phone, act like you're taking a picture, and kind of put your finger over each QR box. But these are some ways to take action right now for our ocean. That first one is obviously follow World Ocean Day on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. There's so much killer content.
I promise there is.
It's honestly so good. Like, it's so fun. It's the most shareable feed I know of. Like,
thanks.
So much.
What a compliment.
Yeah, there's just so much to share with people, and I'm always sending the cute videos that Kate is posting, but also like the really awesome facts. So give that a follow, give that a check out if you do not already. The second is Climate Reality Leadership Core Training. That's October 16th through the 24th. There are limited virtual spaces, so definitely give that a follow and check that out. The third is obviously subscribe to the Rising Blue Network newsletter, where you can find out even more cool opportunities to get involved in both the ocean movement with Kate and I, and other people doing within the ocean movement, doing action around the world. And that last QR box is the Ocean Exchange Collegiate Awards. That deadline is September 20th. So I'll give a sec for everyone to be able to screenshot this and look at it, and check these things out. But I just want to thank you so much, Kate, for being here with me today.
Of course.
Sharing your wisdom, sharing your secret sauce, sharing your knowledge. I feel like I always learn something from you when we chat about social media. So I'm thankful that you were able to hop on
at the end
of August. So good. Okay, good. I'm like, I love this conversation. I'm not really great at social media, but I'm like, when I have these, I'm like, oh yeah, I could do that. Spice it up. Okay. I start to feel a little bit like an influencer.
There you go. Daily influencer.
Yeah. But anyways, thank you all for being here today. I hope you have a great rest of your August. 2 days left, depending on where you're at in the world. Maybe this is your last day if you're in the eastern part of the world, southern hemisphere side. Today might be the 31st, but anyways, thank you so much, Kate. I hope to see you all
of course
next month.
All right, see you guys online.
Bye. Thanks, everybody.